and I want voices who are specifically empowered to think about our youth, to think about discipleship, to think about missions, so that we can do a better job overall. Okay, so that's why that ballot looks that way. Yes, ma'am? Assembly this year is in Roswell, at Roswell First Church. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and transition to our business meeting. Again, we have a sandwich fiasco that's going to go down in the books. One time we hosted a party at our house for church folks, and we ran out of forks. This is going to be even bigger than that one. It took a while. Lauren's not here to hear that joke. She'll appreciate it. It took a while to let that one down. It happens, folks. You run out of forks. Sometimes places just don't make your sandwiches, and you got to figure it out. So that's what's happened. I'm going to call our business meeting to order. Did you start the new recording? Excellent. Hey, folks, since we are a public entity, we care about your opinion. We want you to know what's going on. So if you're watching from home or you want to watch later, any more ballots? If you raise those up in the air, we'll get those collected from you. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to stroll through, and we'll just start now, and that way when the food comes, because it's going to take a little longer to make your sandwiches since they're not pre-made for you, then we'll pause or do it after, depending on what time that is. So I want to go through our different ministry groups, and I want to celebrate and hear from the leaders about what's been going on in there, and then I will share with you some all-church information. Now, I believe our first on the list is Tanya from our preschool, our wonderful preschool. Tanya does many things, and she's a wonderful part of our congregation, a wonderful leader to the preschool. She does so many things that she was called out to fix the sandwich fiasco of 2024. So she'll be back later, and we'll hear from her then. So next up, we have, let's just go to children's ministry. Reverend Michael, share with us what you would like to share with us. Let me get my stuff out of the way.
Well, we had a good time. Thank you. Oh, you want more than that? Well, actually, I had more fun when a guy should be allowed to have kids. No. Yes. So I have more fun when I should be allowed to have kids. I wrote down a few notes here. So children's church, one of the things I try to do is relate with them in the mornings. And so we have a time of how should we go? What's been going on? How's life treating you? We started a prayer box. We got a prayer box in there. And you'd be amazed how many kids write down prayers and put it in the box. It's amazing. Pretty good. So the other thing we try to do is some good studies with the kids about Bible and relating, and then be out of the normal when you're relating to the kids. Do something fun with them while they're doing it. So sometimes, like Easter, some of you may know, some of you may not. So I found a map of Jesus' walking and his ministry in Israel, and it had verses to go with it. So what we did is we did a walkabout prior to Easter. So some of you may know, we left our classroom and we roamed around in the church. So when Jesus went to Jerusalem, we went to another room back here in the back to Jerusalem. When he went to another part of his ministry, we went to another room and we studied a couple of Bible verses on that part of the ministry. So each of the Sunday mornings prior to Easter, that's what we were doing. We were walking Jesus' ministry leading up to pastor speaking on Easter Sunday morning, so they were prepared. So the last one we had was about Jesus eating with the disciples, the Last Supper. It was a great time with the kids. Trying to keep it quiet while we're running around out back so you didn't hear them was a challenge, but that's okay. We had a lot of fun. Next thing we do is Kids Day on the third Saturday of every month. Oh, what a fun thing to do. I think I have more fun making the project before they show up to figure out how much time we have and how much we have to have done than I do with the kids. No, not really, with the kids. But I also enjoy having the parents come because it's a time we can get together. Usually you're pretty close in age. We get to visit with each other. We have anywhere from 8 to 12 adults and 17 kids. We've even had more than that, even up to 22 kids on a Saturday. So it's been a lot of fun having them come and everybody, and we get to visit, see each other, talk with each other, help the kids. The kids have stations. I have some great guys that are in the church, like Terry and Michael and Kevin and others that are helping on every Saturday morning. We try to set up stations so the kids put on their little safety glasses and they take the wood from station to station and they sand it. And I have some others. Vicky just recently offered to help out, and so is Paula. Helps a lot with the design. So when they get it made, if they want to paint it, stain it, whatever they want to do, decorate it, we have a little table area and they get to do that. They get to make it up. So that way, when it's all wet with paint, they can get in mom and dad's car and they go home. No, not really. We have plastic bags for it. But it's been a good time to have with the kids. And they get to have fun building something. We do different things. We do wood projects. One day, Kevin, he's got this awesome thing for sandblasting in a little tub. It has a little window in it. And he brought it and had the sandblasting. And the kids did John 3:16 on a piece of plexiglass, and we made a little wood basement for it. So we do lots of different things. And so I always tell parents and everybody, if you got an idea, let's do it. Let's make something new for the kids. So where are we going from here? Well, we're going to keep doing Kids Day. And we've got some exciting things coming up prior to the summer. And in the children's church, doing some study with them. The other thing that we're going to do the first week of June is we're going to do a VBS with the kids. So I'm still trying to figure out what kind of curriculum we're going to use, how that works with wood. But we're going to have it out at the wood shop all week. And so we're going to rotate the kids in groups, like you normally do with a VBS. Be a time for playing, a little bit of snacking, a time with the wood, and a little bit of time of working whatever kind of curriculum we can come up with for it, how it relates with wood. I'm kind of thinking Jesus, wood, carving, growing up. Dad was a carpenter, kind of going there with it. Now the bad part of that is we try to use it as an outreach. We're only going to be able to do maybe 35 kids, so we're going to have a sign-up sheet for kids to sign up and do it. I hate to put a limit on it because we try to use it as an outreach, but we're only going to have about so much room. So that's kind of where we are with that. So we're going to look forward to that, have fun, and then we're going to have fun during the summer. And any questions? That's kind of where we're headed.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Mike. Yeah, I really can't say enough about some of the really cool things they've been doing. Yeah, you can leave it there. That's great. Really awesome stuff. That sign-up sheet, that stuff should be out starting next week so that we can get an idea of kids that are going to be involved, and also for adult volunteers. Several of you mentioned, can I help if they have VBS? That way you can help with that. So that stuff should be out starting next week. We'll leave it out for about a month or so that we get a good comprehensive list for everyone. Our next report, so you know, sandwiches are in-house, being made. They'll be out shortly, and then we'll go from there, okay? I asked if they needed any other helpers, and I don't know. No response. But a few of you teens, if you're bored, you might go help in the kitchen. But otherwise, just hang out. JG's ready to eat his hand, apparently. It's like the boy's never eaten. He's always, yeah. I understand that. Okay, our next report's going to be from Gavin. And while Gavin is, yeah, that's right, you. I'm going to start this real quick. So we are having the Parents' Night Out for the preschool in a few weeks. We already got some great responses. I mentioned this before. We had 70 kids last time. So far, it doesn't look like it's going to be the same, but you never know. It's a great thing to offer. I need your help with this. We probably need a good 25, 30 people to come and help that evening. Give of your time in various ways. So I'm going to start passing this around. Please consider helping. Once we know who you are, we'll meet. And there's a lot of different ways you can help. So if you can't do this or you don't want to do that, we'll still find a way for you to help. So I'm going to start passing this around. And Gavin's going to share with us a brief update on the music ministry.
don't really like this, but hello, everybody. So, music, worship, it's going good. Any complaints? There's a box in the back. We'll take a look at that next year. So if you have any complaints, I don't really have much to say. I do. So we were blessed by a whole new sound system. Things are going really well. There's a lot of work. Thanks for being patient with us. I know there's some kinks to work out, but things are going good and God's moving. The praise team is growing. God's just meeting us every day for worship. So I'm glad you guys are a part of that. And thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do have some new people. Jeremy, stand up, everybody wave at Jeremy. And Grandy, where's Grandy? Again, the music team is growing. People want to be involved, and that shows me that this is a ministry and that Jesus is at the forefront of it. So thank you guys.
That's right. Several new people have jumped in over the last few months. Few had to move, had new volunteers. We've had lots of help with different things, with music, with media, and like I said, all new stuff. And they've worked through that. That's a blessing to us. It's a huge, huge blessing. Let's see, youth ministry. I'll be giving the report. Hopefully I won't be giving the report on this next year when we do this, but I do want you to know that our youth ministry, in my opinion, is going really well. It's been pretty vibrant so far. The youth might say otherwise, but we have, on average, we're averaging about 20 kids. It can be anywhere from 12 to 25, 26, but on average it's about 18, 20 kids that we have coming in on a Wednesday night. Usually I try to keep our volunteers, because I think we have so many that are willing to volunteer, to about 4 plus myself, unless we have more than 20. We're starting to have small groups as a part of our youth ministry, and so having an adult with, say, 4 or 5 teens, when we do that is the goal. And so kind of every 5, we add on a youth sponsor if we can. Meet on Wednesday nights, 6:30 to 7:30. We went through a series of videos on just what is the Bible as some foundation. And then we've been working through the same material that a lot of you worked through the season of Lent. That's just ended, and we're beginning a study. Got to figure out where I want to stand or sit on the fruit of the Spirit. And so we're just beginning that. We will be meeting through the summer. We're about to do some, not renovation, but just cleaning up and gutting out of the youth room to get ready for a new leader and a new group to solidify. With that, we're going to put some of the sound equipment that came out of here into there, and probably put in one larger TV instead of all the different TVs around. That's something that the youth and parents will help us with. Some good things all around happening. Our teen group so we started back again the first week of January, or when school started in January. And just before that was when the district had the winter retreat. We pushed that, you might remember it. Even though we hadn't been meeting, we had the largest group in the state go to the winter retreat, which is both a good and a bad thing. I'm glad that we had the biggest group. I wish that we had larger groups. So I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of camp this summer. They just have barely given us a theme and a price. Some of you give every week, every month to help make that happen. We'll use that. Kids will need some help, some support going to camp, but I hope that all of our teens, or as many as possible, can go to camp. We have kids camp coming up as well, and when they give us that information besides the dates, we'll share that. I know my kids are going to go to camp. I hope that your kids will consider going to camp as well. So good stuff to look forward to. The last thing, which I'll share this in 2 parts, as far as just the search. Unfortunately, we're back to square one in the search for an actual youth pastor. I'm going to tell you more about what that's going to look like later, but as far as just trying to find a candidate themselves, we had a few good possibilities, but they just weren't ready to move here and to commit to this, and they had to choose between several different things. It wasn't the right fit. So back to the drawing board. I've got a job advertisement, a description of what we can offer at several of our schools, and hoping to be able to set up some interviews soon. We're working hard at that on that front. The goal is to hire somebody in June, or hopefully the latest July. If it needs to be a little later, a few people have asked, what about January? If we have to, we will, but the hope is to get somebody in here in June or July, or as soon after that, to work full-time with the youth. And I'm going to give you some more details about that later. But please pray for that. It's been a little frustrating. We've been really close with several, I think, great candidates, and it just didn't work out. But I know it's going to happen, and I know that it's worth taking our time to find the right person. Okay, any questions about youth ministry? Okay, let's see, next, now in preschool, Miss Tanya is still, Miss Tanya, I'm thinking preschool. She's here! Okay, you got sandwiches in your pockets or anything? No, okay, that's all right. Thanks for all you're doing. Oh, the youth are helping, awesome.
Yes.
That is.
So for any of you that might not know who I am, my name is Tanya Osborne. I'm the director at the Nazarene Preschool. I've been the preschool director since 2021, but I've been working at the school since 2012. And just to give you a little history of when the Nazarene started, it was built in 1979, 1980-ish. We've been open for almost 45 years. So we are very well known in the community and the surrounding communities. When they built the school back then, the vision of the church board and the school board at the time was for the Clovis community and the surrounding communities to have a quality preschool with some extended care. And so that is exactly what we continue to do. Our goal is to be a Christ-centered environment for our families and our children. And our motto that actually hangs on the front of our building out there, that's part of it, is a child to succeed. And so we do that every day. We have 28 employees, that includes myself. Several of them attend church here, and we work hard to do that. One of the mission that we do not take lightly is that every family and child that walks through our doors, that they would see Jesus through each of us. So we work very hard to do that. We have an ABECA curriculum, and so our kiddos, they learn their ABCs, and they learn to count, they learn to write their names, and all of that, but our main goal is for them to learn about Jesus. And so we do that every day. We spend, to start our days, our teachers teach them, they pray with them, then the kids learn to pray along the way. One way, a glimpse into that would be to come and visit us on a Friday morning at 9:30 for chapel. We have chapel every Friday morning, and it is the highlight of our week. It is a great way to end our weeks. So you're always welcome to come and do that. We have Mesa Zia in the afternoons that come, and they get picked up. We pick them up, and they're there from like 3 to 5:30, some of them. Most of them are our parents. They've already been to our school, so they kind of just continue. It's an extended care that we use to help our families that already attend and have tiny ones. We have 2-year-olds through 4-year-olds, but most of those 4-year-olds turn 5 when they're with us, and it's a great joy to watch them grow and to learn about Jesus and to be able to love on them and pray with them and pray with their families. Sometimes you think that the reason that they're coming to our school is for us to help them, but they really bring a lot of love into the lives of our staff members. So we have a spring program coming up in May the 6th at 6 o'clock. And if you would like to see an incredible performance by 2-year-olds through 4-year-olds learning and practicing their songs and their scriptures, I would invite you to come and come early, because it's a packed place. You know, we open our doors at 5:30. But if you want to see some sweet joy that's brought from the school over, that would be an incredible time to come and watch them perform and see what our teachers spend every day teaching them about Jesus and loving on them and all the things. We have an incredible facility. We have a huge playgrounds. Lots of you are familiar with that, but there might be some new members along the way that might not be so familiar with that. You're always welcome to come and walk the grounds and let me show you around and tell you about our playgrounds and who they're named after. Our small playground is named after a gentleman named Mr. Ivy. For some of you, you might remember him. I'm a person that I'm a sentimental person, so not much has changed. I talk about him as if I had known him. I've never met him, but his picture still hangs in our conference room. And so he brought great love to our children. He spent lots of times filling in for them when we didn't have grandparents possibly. He would sit and be a child's grandparent while we had celebrated Grandparents' Day. Along the way, he was the handyman. So I like to share things like that. Our big playground was named after Carolyn Birch, and she worked in the front office. She was a church member here. So we have lots of sentimental things, but we've grown a whole lot. We have a lot of activities that go on throughout the years, and I'm honored to be able to work in that ministry over at the school. Any questions?
Yes.
I'm sorry. That mic shows right now. Yes, ma'am.
Wayne told me to do it this time. Two of our grandchildren that live here attended the school, and my family has had a family that were friends all of their lives, and a couple of years ago we went to the man's 100th birthday. When Emma, our granddaughter, was 3, she was going to the school. And they came to visit. They live in Arizona, but they came to visit. And I said, well, say the Lord's Prayer for Larry. And she just ran it right off. And the Christian prayer, she did all the things that they do every Friday.
Pledge to the Christian flag.
Yeah. And he just sat there. And not one time did I ever see that man after that he did not say, how's it? And I'll never forget her saying that. And he was not a church-going man, but he always thought about that. And he said that was just the most amazing thing to me and the most precious thing. And that's what comes from that. Those kids really have made impressions on me.
We have an incredible staff that spends a lot of time in prayer for our school and our kids. And Milo, Micah, my oldest grandchild, on Easter, he prays before they eat and stuff at the table. And his dad said, Micah, do you want to bless our food? And he just darted in with the Lord's Prayer. And it's sweet. It's sweet. You should never think that a child cannot accomplish something. The scriptures that will be recited during our spring program, Psalm 23, the entire verse, by one of our oldest Monday through Friday 4-year-old classes. We'll be doing that. It's just an incredible blessing, and it's a great joy to be able to serve in that ministry across the parking lot. It is an incredible school, and we are thankful for being able to be a part of the ministry of the church, because it is an extended ministry of the church. Yes. Right now we have about 152, and then we have 26 Mesa Zia kiddos that come in the afternoons. And we have a summer program that we have that started in 2013 that we have 75 signed up for this year. So we're here to help everyone. So anybody else?
That's awesome.
Thank
Anyone
you,
else?
guys.
They're doing great work at the preschool. It is such a blessing to have Tanya and all of the staff. And I've said this before, but it's so neat being around the community and people, my kids went to, or my kids go, or Nazarene's the best. And I just get to say, yeah, that's pretty awesome. And they think I have much to do with it, and I don't, because she does such a great job that I just cheerlead them. Well done. Okay, Joel's going to share just a quick word as our treasurer.
First thing, this phone has been driving everybody crazy. It's got left out in the lobby and it's gone off no less than 8 times with its ringtone. So if you can claim this phone...
It's my grandmother's.
Okay, I wish you would. Thank you. Yes, I'm the treasurer of the church and responsible for making sure that we keep all our accounts paid, bills paid, and all the money's accounted for. Let me tell you a little bit about Nazarene, for those of you this may be your first time. To be Nazarene and to be a Nazarene church, we commit, as all the Nazarene churches across the denomination, to live off of 80% of our income, 80 to 82%. A full 18 to 20% of our income we give to others. And it's for missions. We give it to missionaries for their salaries. We give it to retired pastors and retired missionaries. We give to our higher education institution. It's actually for scholarship fund for New Mexico students, particularly pastors' kids that want to go to a Nazarene college. We give to that. And we also give to our district to help the churches across the district. That takes up a full 18% of our budget. All that has been paid in full this year. It was all paid last year. So, that's good. I ran the numbers just this morning. As of the end of March, the 1st of April, we have raised 96% of our budget that we were hoping to have raised through the end of March. So I want to thank all of you who are so faithful in your giving and your support. And I'm hopefully confident that we will hit the 100% of what our budget goal is this month. We have to finish strong. We still have 4 more weeks, the offering today and then 3 more Sundays before the end of our fiscal year. And so I'm hoping that we can come in at 100%, maybe a little over. And the other thing that I do is make sure that the building stays in good repair and good shape. Everything from a toilet that won't flush to a broken sprinkler head to you just name it. And so I'm happy to report the building's in good repair. She's 47 years old, and the old girl still I think looks pretty good, looks pretty shiny. You know what I'm saying? For the age of the building and the grounds. So anyway, happy to answer any questions. Like I said, all bills are paid. Detailed reports provided to the board every month, and they review everything, and that's what you trust your board to do, you know, as far as the finances go. Any questions?
Can we get a copy of the detailed report?
You can, if you want, come by the office. I don't have it for year end yet. It's not complete. So are you wanting the one for the end of the year?
End of the year.
Yeah, that's still a month off. Okay. Any other questions? All right, Pastor, toss it back.
Okay, thank you so much. Yep, with both of those areas, our finances and the buildings, doing a great job keeping them all running. I appreciate that. And yes, absolutely, we're a public entity. We're glad to share that with members. No question. Here's what we're going to do. We're ahead of schedule. We're going to be fine. Originally it was going to be 11 to 12, so we're going to be done by then. I know we want to eat, and the food is ready. A group of young women, men, teens have worked together. Now, I'm just going to be honest. They were supposed to be fancy sandwiches. Has anybody here ever had a manual labor job? Or maybe a missionary, you did like a short-term mission trip? Or maybe you just did a church work day, something that was really hot, or maybe you just mowed your lawn, and then you ate a lunch that wasn't as exciting as you thought it was going to be? But you know, in that moment, when you open your lunchbox or whatever, and you take out that sandwich, it doesn't look quite as fancy as a Subway sandwich, but then you bite into it, and it's like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever eaten because you just worked for it. That's what we're about to eat. So they don't look as fancy, but your kids and your peers put this together last second because the evil one stepped in and thwarted our plan at snackage. Okay? And so I hope you'll enjoy it. Nobody needs to contribute anything for this. This is one reason we have a budget, and we plan for this sort of thing. Okay? So, yes, thank you. So I'm going to pray for us. Here's what we're going to do. We still have the all-church stuff and what I want to share with you about the future coming up. So we're going to take a 10-minute pause. You'll go out into the lobby and you'll fix yourself a sandwich. There's chips and water. You then bring them back in here. It's okay. Ham is on this side. Turkey is on this side. And then I believe everything else is on both sides. Chips and water. It's a simple meal. Fix your plate. Come back in here. In 10 minutes, I'll get started. If you're still out there fixing your plate, I'm still going to get started because I know people want to be out of here at the latest by 12. They want to be done on time. Okay? If you find yourself wanting a second sandwich, and there's more, JG, and there's more out there, you can have one. But you need to make sure people get through the line first. Okay? God, thank you so much that we were able to receive this food. I pray that you bless it to our bodies. I pray that you would forgive those who messed it up, and that everything's okay. We are grateful that we have food to eat today. We're grateful for our church, all the good things that have happened and are happening, and we ask that you continue to bless our meeting, bless our business, bless our life as a church. We're here for you. We pray that that would be evident to those around us. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, fix your plates, however you want to do that, and then come back in. I'll announce the election results and the rest of the stuff in 10 minutes.
Sandwich reminds me of camping where I'm starving and like whatever.
Daddy?
Whatever.
Daddy, I love
As you get older and get kids, there's something about free meals that you're like, I'm gonna get home, you're like,
You'll go eat them.
when I was single, I didn't eat any of these things. I was like, no, I'm taking with the kids. So like I said, it'd be stupid to go home and then they'd be like, I'm hungry.
Oh, yeah.
It was good service today, guys. And having this, you know, the last few months,
It's not really good today.
okay, God, I'm not going to push it. Your will. Let's get some people in here.
That's one of the best outreach programs that we're doing on Sunday. Yeah, I think that's the only reason.
That's why, again, we got a passion in saying yes and not no to things.
That's a big deal. That makes a big deal.
It does. And the last pastor, listen, the last pastor, like I said, I can do it. Right. So if yes, that's what takes to that. Then you scale back down.
There you go.
People technology and knowledge, would be people in here every week to worship. It's going to be fun. And I want to be a part of it. I want you guys to, I want to be part of like church revival. And people coming in and feeling free to just give up and surrender. That's a beautiful thing to be part of. And I couldn't do it without you guys. Just so you know, it takes all of us. Yeah, it is.
You're a great leader, especially with the work.
God good. And he uses us in spite of what we think he should use us for.
Daddy, back. Oh. No!
CDs for Dad. We don't have to go.
And don't make any noise,
I
okay?
always good round
Daddy, looking.
If it was one of those people.
Dad? Hey!
Not this last week, a couple of days before, I put on a video from but it was great, like, laid down and whatever, and so Mom paused was going to be like halfway through, and I'm like, oh, sorry, y'all, I don't know what to do.
This place is boring. You're like, ah!
But I think I basically got it figured out. Like, you can give me the video, and then I have to pull it off the support that I can download it from my device, and then like, you know, bring it on, do it. Because usually, the perfect goal is to get bigger.
And then I want to finish. Because while we're clearing up the stage, something just like jamming out all the way out. You don't get in and let everybody know what's up. Sometimes you go,
I see.
it's like, I don't know. Yeah, people are still talking.
That kind of stuff matters to me, like,
Production-wise.
production, yes.
I'm thinking
Thank you.
at some point, I want to do this.
Let's go. We're almost at a point that I
We're gonna get started again in about a minute and a half, because the lines have dissipated, just so you know.
Yeah, but basically, you know, I got my vocals, I got my instruments, I got my drums. That's basically all I'm moving. Like when Lauren's picking the lead, I might really come up and play in the mix, but that way
Instead of trying to diagnose
well, yeah.
one thing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, people can use symbols or whatever, song.
Bill players, I'm like, Bill, he's like,
Okay.
give me those symbols.
I didn't like those kind of little like people.
It gives us a lot more stuff, They only gave us like a couple of generic ones, right? This is lame, you buy the program, like, no backdoor charge, like, oh, we want the cool stuff. Yeah, I want the program. Give you the generic program.
Okay, for the sake of timeliness and wanting to make sure we're all done by 12, I guess we're kind of the same thing. We're going to go ahead and get started. Isn't this cross cool?
Yeah.
Good job, Terry. Or Terry and Terry. Okay, so we're going to continue on now with all church report. First, I'm going to read the results of the ballot, which I know are probably not a surprise to you. The Indiana chairman will be Mike Wilman. Congratulations, Mike. Tabitha Haney was elected as NYI president, and Jim Chires as NMI president. I appreciate them, and like I said, these roles are specifically, they're voting members of the church board, but they're specifically tasked with being go-between between our congregation and the board in these particular and important ministry areas to help me, to help us remember and think about missions, about discipleship, about youth on our board. The other two just at-large members, Sherry Carpenter and James Lassiter, were both elected to be part of our board. Let's give them a hand. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you bring to the board. And again, starting, we have four others, John, Terry, Kevin, and Jared, who have 1 year left on their term. It's best to have a staggered board so that, for example, you don't have an all-new board 1 year who has no idea what they're doing. And you've been in that role for a few years because of COVID and because of a pastoral transition. So another reason for the way the ballot is structured the way it is to ensure that we will have rotation. So not that I want any of these four gentlemen to be off the board next year, but they will be up for election and ideally along with two other names, so that you have some choices, and there will be, over the years, some fresh faces, fresh voices on the board. In case you're wondering, Diane Nags respectfully has decided not to renew because of personal reasons, caring for her parents and that sort of thing. And so in case you're wondering, that's why I appreciate all of you. And then everyone is elected to go to district assembly that's on the ballot. We do have a couple slots on there just so that we have our alternates taken care of as well. There's always something that comes up, and that way we're good to have our full voting potential at the district assembly vote. And they will be both missions and regular delegates if they can go to both Thursday and Friday. When that gets closer, I'll talk to you a little bit about it. But hey, if nothing else, if you've never been to even if just the ordination service, it's worth going. Go down on a Friday night, hear the general superintendent speak. A powerful service will ordain. This year we have one potential ordained. Usually there's more than that. It's a really great experience you might consider doing on a Friday night in June. Okay, I'm going to move into highlights from the past year that I want to share with you. The first is preschool. Now, a lot of these areas were covered. I just want to say, on top of what Tanya did, I want to say Pastor Tanya. She really is basically a pastor to them and an administrator. On behalf of you and just the way that I lead, I've done a few things like this, which if the clipboard is stalled, I want to make sure it keeps working its way around. It's got to get over. You've got to move. Yep, thank you. We want to make sure everybody gets it in their hands and gets a chance to sign it. So is it possibly back there in the Welcome Center? I think I see it. Would anybody back there be willing to grab the pink, the Parents' Night Out clipboard? Did it make its way over here? Are we sure? Oh, I see some heads nodding. Either way, I'm going to put it right here. Most people are saying it's made its way to you. But just in case not, I'm going to put it up here. I'm only asking you to do this twice a year, but we really need lots and lots of hands. Yep, 18 already, that's great. Ideally, we need 10 or 12 more. We'll feed you and we'll put you to work, okay? And it'll make a difference to a few young families. We've already had, there's one family visit this morning, never been here before, just because of this, okay? So I have done things like that. We have done that. And also, we gave gift cards at the beginning of the year to all the different staff members just to say, go get a coffee. We appreciate what you do. At Christmas, what was the date? It was the very end of the year. Brought in coffee and pastries and things things like that for the staff. And again, just to say thank you so much. I'll do something like that again this spring, just to let them know that what they do is an extension of us. A lot of them don't necessarily come to church here, the members, the workers, but they work for us, and they have our name on them. And we care about what they do in their classrooms. We care about their reputation, our reputation in the community. I want those teachers to be loved. So you can think of that too. Maybe there's things you want to do. Maybe you have some money laying around, you want to give a gift. Maybe you want to bless a classroom, bless a teacher. This is just the beginning. We need to do more and more of these things in years coming. To just let those teachers, those aides, families know that we love them, we're here for them, whether they go to another church or not, we're proud of them, we're here for them, that kind of thing. The next one would be attendance. I shared this with you 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. But just so you know, at least when I started, so in July, the average at that time, I think it was right at like 80 for our attendance over the summer, and it was a combination of different factors. Summer, nobody's going to travel in the summer, right? And also pastoral transition, COVID, all that stuff. Attendance is now averaging around 120. So I think that's quite a highlight. Yep, good to point that out. CR, Celebrate Recovery. I know you've heard this, broken record, but we'll do it again. First week, shared that I thought that would be great if we had that. Kathy said, well, that's it. That's God saying, it wasn't God, it was me, but I think God was using me. Clovis needs it. Since then, that helped start 2 more groups, really. A group in Portales and another group that's just started up. So now there's 4 nights of Celebrate Recovery happening in the Clovis, Portales area. Their group's averaging a good 50, 60 people every night. I was able to speak there this last Thursday. It was wonderful. Great to see what was going on. Great spirit in the room. Good things are happening. Be proud of them. Celebrate Recovery is for people with all sorts of hurts, habits, and hang-ups, which, yes, a lot of the focus often has to do with alcohol and drug addiction, but it focuses on everything from consumerism, lust, pride, greed, depression, you name it, anything that's a hurt, a habit, or a hang-up. It's a chance to come together with others who are being a bit maybe more honest than some of us about the struggle with that, and to worship, to share. It's a great program to consider maybe going to encourage others to go to. They have a great meal beforehand. Pastoral care team is another one where I ask for your help. And we've had many months we've gathered, not all months. It depends on who's available. Some folks just really don't want to visit, or they're just too busy for a visit. Some people get better, which is great. Then we have new people who get sick. Like Ingrid, by the way, unless something changes, they're sending her home on Friday. I was just absolutely amazed to see her this last week. I went over on Wednesday to see her. It was shocking to me how good she was doing in light of where she was just a few weeks back when she was moved back to Lubbock. So she'll be on that list. Although she says she's coming to church next week. She probably shouldn't, but we'll see. Pastoral care team is just a team that basically gathers once a month or as needed to go with me to sing a song, pray, read some scripture, celebrate communion, just chat with somebody who's needing that. Of course, I go as needed when I know about it. I don't always know, but when it's needed and wanted to go to a hospital or something and visit. But this is for those who really can't get out, to help remind them that it's more than even just a pastor who they may know or may not know coming to visit, that there's a church that they're a part of that loves them. I think it's been a really great highlight, and I love sharing about that with other pastors too. Quizzing, I've heard a lot about quizzing lately. It's kind of the off-season, or sort of, as they get ready, some of the quizzers, children and teens, to go to San Diego for the regional quiz at Point Loma. We had 3 children qualify, and really that was a fluke because those kids have done amazing the whole year long. They've been first every single time, and then they came in second by just 1.5 points. That's okay, they did wonderful. Wanda and John did wonderful leading them. A few other adult volunteers as well. So we're taking 3 kids to San Diego in about a month. That'll be fun. They're really looking forward to that, see how they do. And then we have 1 team from our church, a couple others that are in and out of our church that we know that are part of the team group growing the next week at the end of May to San Diego for that as well. We had a great response. The spaghetti dinner, I think, brought in around $3,500. It was pretty awesome. Yep. A few last minute gifts came in the offering plate because of that, right after, and that brought us to about $3,500. All said and done, that means all the fundraising efforts between Wanda's delicious desserts, candies, chocolates, whatever, the movie nights, spaghetti dinner, am I forgetting anything? Brought us to around about $5,500 for the year. And that's to help make sure that mainly that trip to San Diego especially doesn't cost us anything. And then, of course, other money from that goes to help cover just some of the costs for quizzing. Youth ministry highlights just the fact that we've started it up. It's going really well. We've got a lot to build on. And I don't have the time to give to it that I would like or that I should. But nonetheless, some of your teens who are in this room, we talked, they were going to another church, or they feel torn that they're coming, they're saying, I really want to be here. It's been really cool to see. We've had teens coming that are not a part of our church. It's been really positive, a lot to build on. Not perfect, we got a lot to do, but some really good things are happening in the youth ministry, and they're all just beginning points. We're working, we're doing what we can to get a foundation going, and then we need somebody to get in there. Yeah, great stuff. And then finally, missions. We've now got an NMI president. We're hopefully going to have a missions board again before too long. And you'll hear about that in coming days, but there will be things like, we'll have missionary books out that you can read. If you're somebody who wants to learn and read some of those yearly books that are published. But we have a missionary speaker coming, I believe on June 16th. Actually really cool. If you remember when, I think we were your last missionary speakers, Lauren and I, a few years ago, and we shared about our friend Carlos, and we shared half of the money that we were given with him to help him buy a vehicle. Well, he's the one who's coming, and he's going to be sharing. So I really look forward to him sharing about, he's the Africa Regional Finance Director. He does amazing work. I don't know how he does it. I'm grateful for him and what he does and an impossible job, and he's going to be sharing. What's cool about Carlos is he is not a pastor. He's you. He's one of you who responded to God's call, and he does ministry work, but he uses his financial and other gifts to service the church. And I've seen this, and churches really relate well to him because he's just a regular guy who is trying to serve God. So look for new mission stuff to come in the future. And like I said, not only will have those international elements, but we're going to remember more and more that missions is right here in our own neighborhood. It's right here in New Mexico. It's down in El Paso. There's opportunities to serve here in this state, in this area, and it's not just maybe every few years we go somewhere, but that sort of thing. Okay? Good stuff happening there. Now, I want to move to a few goals and things to look forward to for the future. All right? How about let's get the first two up there at the same time so that this makes sense. Thank you. All right, so we are trying to find a youth pastor, and you're probably like, what does the president mean? And then what is made to flourish? Okay, I'm going to give you this in a very brief explanation. So in the process of looking for a youth pastor, we don't have the money to hire a full-time youth pastor in the way that you normally would hire a full-time youth pastor. I'll just be honest, we need about $45,000 to $50,000 all said and done. And that's if we hire somebody who's younger. We need a little bit more if we're going to hire somebody with a good amount of experience, which eventually I hope we can do. I hired once through Northwest Nazarene University. I shared a little bit about this with you before. They have an internship program that is on and off again over the years. And I had made a wonderful hire through there, and I know a lot of others who were hired through that program. And it's essentially a program where somebody is going to work for you for less money, but they're also going to be working on a master's degree that you're going to pay for, and they're getting on-the-job experience, and it's a commitment for about 2 years. And during that time, everybody benefits, everybody learns, everybody makes mistakes, you figure it out, and then maybe the person is hired on in a more traditional full-time capacity afterwards, or maybe they move on, maybe bring somebody else in. So I reached out to them right away when I knew that we were in this kind of a position where we desperately need somebody, but we're not able to fully pay $45,000 to $50,000 for the year. We have about half that we can do. And they were just starting a new program, which is in its first year, so this is part of the issue. They don't have a lot of candidates this year. They have a lot in the future years that are already signed up. They're partnering with a group, an organization, a parachurch organization that has its roots in the Church of the Nazarene, but it's not. It's just independent, called Made to Flourish. Made to Flourish exists because they think, and they're right, that there's a need to get young clergy, young pastors, into churches with a bit of a safety net. You know, the average tenure for a youth pastor is about 6 months, and then they're just done with ministry. The average tenure for a senior pastor is about 2 years, to be honest. It can be rough. Often for youth pastors, there's not much money, there's not much support. They're expected to work miracles. We get frustrated with them because they don't know everything, and they say something that's a little too progressive or challenging. We give them the boot, or they get harassed, and then they're out. So, just like doctors have residencies before they begin working as a full-time doctor, they got a huge grant and basically developed an organization to help this sort of a model flourish, where young clergy, ideally people coming right out of college, would get placed, get hired somewhere as a resident, like an intern, but an intern is it has less of the depth of the term. So they like the term resident, so we're going with resident. The agreement is that you bring them in for 2 years, just like I mentioned before. They get training, hopefully they do a master's degree while they're working. They get mentoring from me and from others. They get to experience what it's like to run a church without having to be fully in charge of everything, with the idea that probably they're going to move on to be a senior pastor at some point, but that they're a youth pastor or something else. It could be a different position. We just need youth ministry. They provide quite a bit of money to help make that possible if a church like our own agrees to work with them and to follow through on the process. We've considered that. I've gone and heard their presentation. Our board has heard about that. We've voted unanimously to partner with them if we are accepted, which we should be. And so we have an application that will go in about a week. And if accepted, long story short, we'll enter into a 10-year partnership where over the first 5 years, they will give us a significant amount of money, about $20,000 to $25,000 a year, to use as we see fit to make this work so that we can hire somebody. And then, over that period, as things flourish, and it's for 2 years, so we have to agree that we're probably going to bring in 2 to 3 people. Now, who knows? If we grow, and person number 1 or number 2 is amazing, and we want to make them a full-time person in a more traditional sense. If we can afford it, we can. Partnering with them, though, we would be bringing in what we're saying is 3 residents. So maybe the resident would be in children's ministry next time, or music ministry, or who knows, okay? A lot of possibilities. They'll give us this money without any strings attached other than occasional meetings, and myself and that person going once or twice to Kansas City for a workshop. And then after year 5, we would give back to them 1% of our budget, surpassing no more than 50% of what they've given us in total. Long story short, what it looks like is that if we're accepted and we follow through with this, they'll give us a little over $100,000, and we'll give them about 20 in years 6 to 10 as a small gift at the end of every year, which they reinvest to help other churches like ourselves. That's the simple, quick explanation. If you want more details about that, I'm happy to go into it. But it's an organization you'll probably hear more about. But our goal is we're trying to find somebody, but we're specifically trying to find somebody on a limited basis, on a limited budget, with this residency mindset for 2 years at a time. And we're going to try to bring in 3 of these. Again, if and as we grow, if their money is available, and if the person's a great fit, then we can potentially keep them on, up their salary, make them a full-time pastor, and still bring in like a resident. But obviously we can do that. If not, then they've blessed us hugely. We bless them hopefully hugely. Everybody benefits, and then we get several new people to come in over the course of 5 or 6 years to give us new ideas and new ministry. And then at some point, one of them sticks, and we hire one full time. So we would be becoming kind of a residency hospital church for young clergy to help them learn and grow. I'm excited about it. I think it'll be a really amazing opportunity. I think it's kind of a no-brainer financially. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Again, if you have questions about that, see me directly. I'd be happy to answer that. You can certainly see the board as well. You're always welcome to find out what we're talking about as a board and what we're doing. Hopefully that makes sense. Any quick questions about that? If it's very detailed, I'll probably table it and talk to you later. But anybody have a quick question about that, the search or what this means? Somebody pointed. Yes?
I was just wondering, do we still need to be, or should we be building a fund?
Excellent question. Excellent question. That was the thing I was going to mention now before I move on. Do Do we still need to be giving towards that? The short answer is no. I'm going to explain our budget shortly for this coming year. But if you're giving to youth ministry directly right now, it's a blessing. It's been adding up. I think we're at around $3,500, which would be very helpful to get this started. My advice would be thank you so much. Keep doing that till the end of April. And then I'll explain what our budget looks like. Our new budget starts May 1st. And as we move forward, it would be more convenient for all if you just gave to the general operating fund, but I'll explain that. Okay, thank you so much for those who have been giving. That money will be very helpful as we do hire and bring somebody in, hopefully in the next couple months. Okay? All right, another goal to look forward to this year. I've mentioned this early on, but I haven't come back to it, but I didn't forget. I'm hoping that starting in September, we can start anywhere from 2 to 4 home groups. That would be once a month. That would be based on, aimed at fellowship, at the kind of place, this would be the first level, the easiest thing to bring your neighbors to. You have a barbecue at your backyard once a month, or you meet inside, or whatever it is, you have a pool party, a house, a family that's conducive to that. If you're somebody who's interested in maybe hosting regularly a home small group, that would be for the church, but also definitely a place where you can invite others and people can invite others. Come see me. It's not going to start till probably September, but I would love to meet with you and dream with you and talk about what that's going to look like. That would be one kind of the extra piece that I want for us. This would be very easy, almost no discipleship. You have a prayer time that would really be fellowship focused. People get connected there. It becomes easier for them to then maybe come to church. Or to come to a discipleship group or something like that. Okay, so that's going to round out some of our ministry and evangelistic focuses as a church. Pray about that. If you're a person or a family that wants to maybe do that, let me know and we can talk over the summer. Okay. Next one is the community service project. I've mentioned this several times. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I mean, I think that our Parents' Night Out is a community service, but hoping to come up with a way that we can be of service to our community in a substantial way that we can do this year, preferably this summer, but sometime this year, that we can build on it in the future. Still welcome to if God's been giving you an idea, let me know. And we're trying to work towards that. It's important to me that we do that. Next one, just a goal I have. I'd like to see our attendance over 200. That's going to just mean, I think, that we're doing what we're supposed to do, that we invite people in as we can, that we try to do things like minister to our preschool, to our community, that we be an open, inviting, loving place, that where we're alive, families are here. I think we're doing those things. I think we're seeing that growth. So numbers are not all that matters, but I think that it should happen. I want it to happen. And so that's my prayer. I'm hoping for attendance of over 200. As an average by the end of the year, not we had one great Sunday. And then finally, I'm praying for a Spanish-speaking ministry at our church. We have a great building facility that when we leave sits empty on Sunday, and it'd be awfully convenient to have another congregation in here in the afternoon or in the evening with a Spanish-speaking pastor and a Spanish-speaking congregation. We don't need the money to just simply host some other church meeting here. I would like that's a great model, and I've done that before. But what we need is to reach Clovis. And Clovis is an enormous Spanish-speaking population. And I would love to find a person who can be the minister, the pastor, that could help start that ministry. Who that is, just praying for it. And I know God will provide us with us somebody at some point. So I ask that you pray for that with me. That we can move in that direction, hopefully this coming year. Any questions about any of that stuff? Okay. Finally then, budget update and giving challenge for this coming year. Good, we've got about 10 minutes left. So basically, just to let you know, as Joel shared, on budget, everything's going well financially, good things to report. One thing that I want you to know about as a church is that as we move forward, we are growing. We're having to do new things. You mentioned we're trying to hire a youth pastor. Well, where's the money for that going to come from? It's not going to 100% come from Make It Flourish. We need to pay for some of our own, and they can't just pay us forever to hire a youth pastor. We need to be able to fund this and do this. There are teens after all. Right now, we average 20 or so teens. They're coming from us. Very few of them are from outside. And within just the next couple of years, the number of our teens would double potentially, just for the kids that are in our church and children's church. So we need a youth pastor. That means we need to be able to pay for a youth pastor. We need to make these ends meet. Okay, in order to move that direction, we've adjusted the budget, we've trimmed fat, we've adjusted areas, we've tried to grow areas like children and youth, cut other areas, but we had to make, in particular, we've had to make room to hire a youth pastor. So we are moving from a budget where there was planned surplus to what I'm more used to, usually in nonprofits, and we do have a savings account, we have things like that. Not a ton of money out there, but we have assets. But we're moving to a zero-sum budget with the idea that we will budget for X, with the idea that we're going to spend X in the year, which means if we don't bring in X, we will have a deficit. Okay, we won't have a safety net, which is typically how nonprofits, typically how churches work. Now, of course, that as you go along, that's one of the jobs of the board. If giving's not where it's supposed to be, then we have to make amends over time, adjust things. But ideally, I don't like to do that. I don't want the board to have to do that. I want it to be a more fun, mission-focused thing. So all that to say, we need to give. We are blessed by your giving. I know what it's like to have to be the one giving and support when I'm not a pastor. I know how hard you work for your money. I know what it's like to have children. I give myself. I know the excuses. I know the challenges and the struggles. But in order to make our budget work for this next year and moving forward, we're going to have to give, and we're going to have to give faithfully and regularly. And so that is the main shift that you should know about in the budget. You see, people made lots of comments that are positive about the budget and in the bulletin. That's going to continue starting May 1st. Not only are you going to see are we on budget for the month, you're going to see are we on budget for the year. So in the way this district plans things, just so you know, our fiscal year begins May 1st. Well, then summer starts. So it's a pretty common thing, from what I understand here, that we start off the year under because y'all are traveling and you're out of town. So we make up for it. Like this year, we're going to make up for it, but that's not ideal. So there's a couple ways that we can address that, but I just want you to know that up front. We're trying to be transparent. We're trying to make sure you know where we're at with our budget. I don't talk about this stuff a whole lot in front of the whole congregation in a sermon because I don't like to, but I do believe that giving a couple stewardship sermons and talking about it here and there, and I will do those things. But we're going to need to try to meet our budget goal. We've also factored in a 5% increase for this year. So we're going to use the whole budget, and we're planning on growing at least 5%. Now that's minimal, that's just barely above inflation, but we are factoring in all those things. And so you need to know that, and that will be reflected in the bulletin as you see this. Now, to give, there's a couple things that I want you to know, and then we've got a couple just quick specials, and then we'll be done. There's two things that you could do to give. One, you could just keep giving. If you're already giving, keep giving. I'm going to pass around some pledge cards in a minute and explain those. But actually, why don't we just do this now? Maybe I can get a couple teens or people who might be willing to do this who don't care. I'm going to pick on these girls right here. If you don't mind, just passing these around. Now, these are not for me. These are not for anybody here to see. These are for you. Just maybe take one side, each of you, just pass them around. And you'll see on there some information like this. Maybe you're already giving and you give 10% and you've done this forever. God bless you. Thank you so much. I remember what it was like to not do that and to make that transition. And it was hard. And I was confident we couldn't afford it. It wouldn't work. But God did. And the moment, and as a pastor, I go through this just like you. And as soon as we got used to that and got on track, I was amazed at how the money always came in, how God always made ends meet, even when there didn't seem to be enough, how miraculous money would come out of nowhere, that sort of thing. And if you're giving and you're doing that right now, God bless you, thank you. Maybe you're not. And maybe you're ready to give. Maybe you can't, you don't think you can afford 10%. Maybe it's 7.5, or it's 5, or 2.5, or whatever. This is between you and God, not me. I'm not asking you to show this. Some churches do that, and then we make a budget based on that. We're not doing that. We know what we have. We know what's here. And we know what God can do. Regular giving, that you would, if you just stick to anything, God will make this work. Maybe you're already giving 10% or whatever, and you want to give extra. Maybe you have a goal of giving a certain amount extra for some reason or whatever. There's a slot for that for yourself. Maybe right now, this is all kind of crazy and new, and I just can't pay this whatsoever. Maybe I can give $20 a week. Okay? God will bless that. Put that down. Maybe you can give the same thing, right? Maybe it's $80 or $100 a month. Same, whatever it is. I'm asking you to consider between you and God. If you're here, you must like what we're doing at least somewhat. If you like what we're doing and you like the benefits of being a part of a community of faith and having a building and having paid pastors and stuff, then this is part of it. So I want you to pray about and consider how you could give and how that might increase next year, whatever that looks like. Okay? Again, it's between you and God. Lastly, I want to say, I've said this before, but there really hasn't been that great of a response to this. We do have more and more online giving, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you doing that. It's a matter of convenience. There are some of you who will go on vacation, and then you will come in. I just was given this. Here's an envelope with 3 checks because I misplaced them when I'm on vacation. God bless you for doing that. But most of us don't. Most of us can't. I find that if I do that, something comes up and I have to spend that money, and then it's not there. Whereas if I give it, I don't need it. That thing doesn't come up, or God blesses it. So I want to push this again. I really, really strongly want to encourage you to sign up for regular online giving. We don't get your information. I don't get access to your bank account. Joel doesn't get to see any of that kind of stuff. We just get a report came through that said somebody gave this gift. And then it's included in your year-end giving. But I'm going to be traveling a lot this summer. As a person with kids in school, it's hard to travel during the school year. We'll be traveling this summer. I'm allowed to miss a certain number of Sundays. I've already got them lined up, who's speaking for you and all that stuff. But it'd be real easy for me to not give and instead give that money to Yellowstone National Park or give that money to somewhere else. Thank you, ladies, whenever we're there on vacation. But it's going to come out when we get paid on the 15th. When Lauren gets paid on the 15th, a payment comes out. And there's been a couple times where I didn't think the money was really there at the beginning when we first got here. And miraculous money came from nowhere to cover that. It happens every time. It's a broken record, but I really do mean it. If you're even moderately tech savvy, it's very simple. You can scan this with your phone right now and sign up, or you can put in that website address. It takes a few minutes, and you can give $20 a month, $100 a week. You can give however you do it. You can set it up. We don't get your information, but it makes it so that you won't miss a payment, you won't miss a donation. And it obviously makes our budget easier to achieve. So if you believe in and want to see these goals happen in the future, please consider it. Even if it's just one time you would miss because you're on vacation, because you get sick, because of something else, and then you don't miss it, compound that by 20 other people, I mean, that's a month's worth of giving. It makes a huge impact. Please consider it. Pray about that. Again, this is between you and God. I don't want to see this. I don't want you to come and tell me, Pastor, I'm going to do this. This is just, don't feel judged by it. You're already giving. If that's what you can give, God bless you. Thank you so much. I get it. I understand. But I know that to get where we're going, we are going to need to see our giving become a bit more steady. And in particular, over the summer, we're going to need to see it steady. And unless you just really get on top of that with checks and mailing them and things like that, the easiest way is online giving. So please consider that. Now, one of our members is going to share a quick testimony about giving. Jared, if you'd be willing to come on up. And then we have a very brief video from our general superintendents, and then we'll be done. So we'll be a few minutes over. I apologize about that. I'm going to blame the deceiver for that one as well. Okay, but we'll be done soon.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon almost, man. Brian said he would be tired by this time. He said to make a minimum of a 1-hour speech. So we should be able to get out of here by 1. Is that all right? Is it too late for April Fools? He asked me to speak a little bit. I'm not a speaker, so hang with me. Be patient. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself and what I experienced. I've always believed in God all my life. I've never really veered away from it. Have I been close? Not really. But I've always believed in God. I think because of my grandmother maybe. When I was a kid, I used to pray a lot. Most of the time it was praying about, well, I was in trouble for this, or I dug myself a hole over here. Please God, get me out of this hole. And wasn't really honest. And when I got into my 20s, and then, well, when I kind of grew up, which was late 20s, if anybody's asking, I got to the point that I said, you know, that's not very honest, it's not very good. So I moved on and started praying for other people that were saved, and working on that. And when I was 30, my dad got sick. And so I tell you, there's a big difference between praying and praying for somebody you're not sure is going to live. And so I begged and I pleaded, and I mean, I really got to praying. This is one of those get out on your knees, open your eyes and look up, tears pouring down your face kind of praying. All right? He lived. 4 years later, we're back with rejection. We got strokes and all kinds of stuff. Went through the same thing. Begged and pleaded. He lived again. He wasn't perfect, but he lived. 4 years later, now it's cancer. So I know that you guys have been there before. There's a point in your prayer where you just kind of give up and you reach that peak. And you say, you know what? Take it. Just get him away from the suffering. And he answered my prayer. So I tell you this just to follow through with the rest. 4 or 5 years later, when Darwin was here, some of you guys remember Darwin, and it's the toughest speech that anybody could ever do. He preached on tithing. And I was like, he got done with that, and I tell you what, he sold it 100%. So when I got home, I felt kind of bad. I looked into finances. I mean, I watch my stuff like pennies. You can ask my wife if I'm crazy about it. But so I said, you know what? I need to get more. So I went through it. I started giving more. I felt good about it. Got to keep up. I can't remember all this. So I went along and started praying a little bit better, and things were going good. And one day I was praying, and it kind of just going to sound weird, but I just wasn't feeling like anybody was listening. And I kind of had my eyes closed, and I kind of see a figure there. I think it's pretty much my subconscious, really. Kind of spoke in what my subconscious believes is God's voice. Now, say it was God speaking to me. Not sure about that. Maybe so. Anyhow, he said, and I quote this, you asked me for help as a kid when you were in trouble, and only when you were in trouble. You asked me for help, others, as an adult, and I did. You begged me to save your father, not only once, but 3 times, and I answered those prayers. Maybe not how you would like, but I still answered. And now, you ask me for more. But you pay all your bills, your house payment, your vehicle payment, your water, your electric, every bill you have, and then only then do you give what is left for my kingdom. That's kind of a slap in the face, ain't it? So I went back to my finances in my little cubby, and I sat there and I said, all right, I'm going to make 10%, I don't care what it takes, and I'm going to even round up to make sure I get the 10%. So I did that, and it felt better. It felt good. Darwin was right. It felt good. A couple of months later, my little voice came back to me again. and I quoted it. You pay your home, your vehicle, all your bills and them. After everything has been paid, even if it is the full 10%, I am the last one you think about. I thought I said to keep me first in your life. So I sat down again. I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write this check on the very first day of the month. I'm going to make sure it's 10%, and I'm going to ignore every bill until after I write that check. And so I stuck with that. And I tell you, what happened next? The voices didn't go away. It still reminds me of when I do things wrong. And he still tells me, hey, Jared, I really don't like this little move here. I'm kind of crazy that way. You can ask my wife, I'm not crazy. I sit down and pray, and it's like somebody sitting right next to me and listening to every word and not paying attention to anybody or anything but me. I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. Darwin was right. I have not noticed any of my money missing. I have not said, man, this is costing me. I didn't even notice. Sometimes, now we look at our phone, you got your account right there, and I'll look at it and go, well, that doesn't make sense, it's more money than I thought I had in there. Now, don't get me wrong, I go back and I count it up and figure out where that money went, or where it came from. It's normally a deposit I didn't put in or something. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But I have this question for you. Directly after doing this, my business that I'm in, I've got guys in my position all over the country. They adjust the pay to each guy depending on where he lives, in California or Chicago or LA or wherever, and even down here in New Mexico and Texas, according to the area. They got tired of that. They said, you know, you all guys work for us at the International. We don't want to do this anymore. We're going to cut you a straight across pay, and we're going to pay all you guys the same. This was the very next month. That gave me a direct 15% increase in my pay. I paid 10, and the next month I got a 15% increase. I don't care what anybody says. That is no convenience that it happened. And I truly believe it. So why is Jared telling you this? Well, you know, I kind of know. I'm not asking for any money. I know we need every penny, guys, but I will ask you this. I challenge you to try it. If you have just a couple months, just try it. See what happens. You will see the difference. You'll really notice it. Just push that 10%. It will make a difference in how you feel and how you act and how you just live life. I think you'll grow your relationship with God a lot closer. I think you'll just become closer to Jesus. And you have that prayer and that guy right next to you listening to every word. And it really does make a difference to people. And now, my next move, probably, we now can pick when, how much, how many times, and everything right online thanks to our new pastor. And putting this on the internet. And I'm thinking I'm going to do that now. I don't have to even think about it. I don't have to worry about leaving the check at home or leaving it in my jacket and going home with it and not giving it to Joel. It's a perfect plan. I'd suggest everybody try to sign up on it. It makes it easy. It makes it easy for him. And you don't have to worry. You know you're good. And it just makes you feel clean. I leave you with this. I thank Darwin for helping me get my life straight on that title. But I'll leave you with the following. Matthew 6:33. But strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for doing that video. We have 5 more minutes. We're going to play a short video. Sorry, I've gone a little bit over. False advertising there, my fault. While they're doing that, thank you. That's very hard to share. I appreciate that, Jared. God bless you. This is a video from one of our retired general superintendents that I use in membership class, and I just think it's really good on this topic.
Church just want me to count for my money? That's a fair question. It's a question that I have been often asked. And I can understand why people would feel that way, because sayings like when the offering is being passed, I want you to give till it hurts. And no one wants to be in pain when it comes to the matter of money, especially in the light of today's world and global recessions and economic issues. I I've even heard sayings like, turn those pockets inside out, let me hear you shout. And people feel like that, the church wants everything that they have. But the truth is, we have the perspective wrong. It is the fact that God wants everything that we have, that He calls for radical obedience. And the greatest giver is God our Father, because John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. So there we have the pattern. Therefore, we have to look at passages like Luke 6:38 that reminds that if we give, it will be given to us. In other words, because we give, we're the real winners. Because we give, we experience blessings untold from above. Another question that I'm often asked is, will you please explain that big word stewardship to me? Give me some type of definition. Well, stewardship is not a word that's commonly used in the marketplace. It seems like the world is grabbing a word that belongs to the church, because the Apostle Peter reminded us that we are to be stewards of everything that we have. So picture in your mind, if you will, a triangle right now. So in that triangle, you have God as our source, and then we're reminded that we're to be stewards of life. I mean, stewards of our relationships. Every family member, every friend in the fellowship, the church you're attending, that's a sacred stewardship of people that you work with. And so it's a stewardship of life issue. But it goes further. There's the stewardship of the gospel. We all have a witness to share. We have our testimony to share of how we came to faith in Christ. Another aspect of stewardship is the stewardship of our health. We know from James' writing that life is very brief. It's like a vapor, he said. It's here, it's gone. So these bodies are temples that God dwells in, and we're to take care of them. So we have stewardship of health issues. And then there's also the stewardship of wealth. Whatever you have, whether it's large or small, and it's not about equal giving, it's about equal sacrifice. God wants your very best. And stewardship is taking what God's blessed you with and multiplying it, saying thank you to Almighty God, because He's the source of all that you have. Another question that I'm often asked is simply, how does God bless me when I'm faithful with my giving? But my story is simple. When I learned the secret of giving and how God blesses, I was a college student, a missionary spoke, and the college president at the conclusion of the missionary's message said, many of you will come and you will pray today. Some of you will volunteer to be missionaries. Others, God will want what you have in your pocket, in your wallet, or in your purse. I went forward and volunteered to be a missionary, but God wanted what was in my pocket, and it was a $100 bill. I desperately needed that because it was my spending money for the whole semester, but I gave it all. And after a couple of weeks of oppressive warfare with the enemy of the soul, Satan, I went to work at the barber shop where I worked on Monday and Tuesday nights. And my boss called me over at 9 o'clock and he said, told her I need to talk to you. And the enemy said, he's going to fire you. But my boss, who was not known to be generous, said, I want you to come back next semester and work in this shop. You're doing a good job, and I know that those college students aren't tipping you when you cut their hair and so forth, and you don't sell shampoos and spritzers. And I said, well, he's going to have the money for it. And he said, I know that, and I just want to say thank you. And I believe the stingiest man in the world reached in his pocket and surprised me by handing me a crisp $100 bill. He said, Toller, thank you. Tears started to stream down my cheeks, and he said, what's wrong with you? I said, I can't explain it now, but I'll explain it to you later. But you see, in that moment, I discovered that you can't outgive God. I'm not going to tell you if you give $100, you'll get $1,000 in return, or if you give $200, you'll get $2,000. I'm not going down that path, but what I do know is if you're faithful, God will bless you beyond belief.
I really like that video myself. I just think it's true what he shared, and it's a lesson I had to learn. I don't know how many times I've had to have the awkward conversation with Somebody like who we will probably hire, a young pastor who doesn't, I mean, you think, oh, it's pastors, they're going to tithe because they get the money from tithing, but like all of us, we all learn this lesson. And I remember as a young adult, and still to this day, we have another house that we can't really afford to pay for it. We're desperately trying to sell, and you all are praying for it in a mighty way, and have helped us in a variety of ways. I know it's gonna sell this month, I believe. But there are times when I don't feel, I don't have that money to give. If I give this, it's one of the reasons I like the online giving is because I'm removing that choice from myself. I'm saying, God, I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to trust that if it's one of those hard months, you're going to bless us. And it always happens. The amount of stories you could do this if we had time, which you don't want me to have testimony time about this. Most of you would be able to share a story like this. I don't know how many times, but one in particular sticks out to me when we were very young, and we didn't have any money whatsoever, and we started trying to tithe, and paid money that we didn't really have, and it was when it cleared the bank, it was going to cost us to go into the negative. I don't know if Lauren knew that or not. And then some random check shows up from Point Loma like 6 years later. Why are they giving money back? I have no idea still why they would give us money back. They need the money. Money shows up out of nowhere. Totally unexpected. That kind of thing happens all the time. It's happened this year. It's happened this month. So yeah, there is no formula. We're not that kind of church, and I'm not going to get up here and dance around for you and say, if you give me $1, God's going to give you 10. If God does that for you, that's great, but that's not typically what God does. What God does is bless you and provide for you, and sometimes it's in abundance, sometimes it's in just enough. Usually, what happens is that just enough begins to grow as we begin to make better decisions and get our life on track. So I just want to ask you again to consider, again, if this makes you uncomfortable, I don't do this all the time, so forgive me, but it is part of being a church that you would consider regular giving. If you're already giving regularly, then would you consider increasing that if it's not 10%? If it's 10%, hey, God bless you, I'm not asking you to do anything. That sheet's between you and God. If you want to give above and beyond, it's amazing. Do so. If you want to be a special blessing to the church, there's a few things we can do, let me know. But really, most of us are in a position where we have to make it real and say, I'm going to give 10%. Or, I'm not ready yet, I'm new to this, I'm going to give 5%. Or I can give $100 a month. That's fine. God will bless that. Just do it. Do what Toller did and see what happens. And most likely you'll have a pretty amazing story to share about how God has made your bills paid, will take care of you. No, not just, manna didn't start falling from heaven necessarily and everything's paid off and you got. Again, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just making your needs will be met. I do believe that that's the case. I don't know your situation, and I'm not here to make you feel bad. I want to just be transparent with you as we move forward. If you didn't notice, we are a couple of weeks from the end of the year. May is pretty busy. I have to travel with the quizzers, and we've got Mother's Day, and people are going to start being gone, and I wanted as many of you here as could be here. I want you to know what we're moving into. I think great things have been happening at this church over this last year. I think we're headed for even better things. I know we're going to find the right person. I know we're going to have the money to hire a youth pastor. We're going to need a van before long. We're going to have the money for that. I know these things are going to work. I know we're going to continue our mission in this community by finding a way to serve outwardly and not just do things like trunk or treat, but also get out and roll up our sleeves and serve and give. I know these things are going to happen. I know our pews are going to have more people in them, whether it's 200 or whether it's just a few less or a few more. It doesn't matter. I know that God is doing something here, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I hope that you are too. And yes, giving regularly is going to help make that happen. So I appreciate you thinking about that. Appreciate you praying for that. God bless those that are here. Bless those that had to leave. Bless those that couldn't be here today. I thank you for this church. I thank you for what you're doing here. I think that you're doing something really great. From our preschool to our congregation in this community, I'm grateful. I ask that you would expand our mission, that you expand our territory, that you'd help us to remember that outside of here is Nineveh. It's good and it's bad and it's everything in between, but it's your people and you want them. And I pray that you would empower us for the mission that you've placed in front of us. I pray that you'd help our giving meet the budget that we've set for this coming year and beyond, and that we would be able to do new and exciting things for you. Thank you for Jared in particular sharing. I know that's challenging and difficult. I appreciate his testimony. We bless you today, Lord. Thank you for this year. Look forward to an even better and more positive meeting next year as a congregation. In your name we pray. Amen. Thanks, everybody. Sorry we kept you a little long, but I appreciate it. Take those pledge cards home. That's for you, not for me. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, let me know. And if you didn't get a chance to sign up here for the Parents' Night Out, it's here and it's going to be in the login for the next few weeks. God bless you all.